Hello everyone, so welcome to the ninth chapter on fundamental duties. So today we are going to talk about fundamental duties. So let's get started. The original constitution contained only the fundamental rights and not the fundamental duties. In other words, the farmers of the constitution did not feel it necessary to incorporate the fundamental duties of the citizens in the constitution. So the original constitution, it only had the fundamental rights but not fundamental duties, but after that the fundamental duties was included. So the founding fathers of a constitution, they did not feel it necessary to implement fundamental duties in a constitution. So later in 1976, the fundamental duties of citizens were added in the constitution. Now, Swarna Singh Committee recommendations. In 1976, the Congress Party set up by Sardar Swarna Singh Committee to make recommendations about fundamental duties. So, a committee which was the Swarna Singh Committee set up they gave the recommendations about the fundamental duties. The committee recommended the inclusion of a separate chapter on fundamental duties in the constitution. So they said that there should be a separate chapter on fundamental duties itself, okay, which should be included in the constitution. It stressed that the citizen should be aware that in addition to the enjoyment of rights, they also have certain duties to perform as well. Okay, this means that okay, fine, we live in a democratic country and we have all rights and we have and everyone's rights are equal, but does not allow you to misuse your rights. And even you should know some of the duties. You need to know the duties as a citizen of India. What are your duties towards the nation? Okay, so what are those? Now we will talk about it. List of fundamental duties. According to Article 51A, it shall be the duty of every citizen of India to. So let's get started. The first one is to obey the constitution and respect its ideals and institutions, the national flag and the national anthem. Okay, so it is your duty to obey the constitution, to respect the provisions, to respect the rules and regulations. Whatever is written in the constitution, it is your duty as a citizen of India to obey it, to follow it. You should also respect your national flag and your national anthem. So you should respect it too. To cherish and follow the noble ideals that inspire the national struggle for freedom. Okay, so the freedom fighters and all the people who lived in British India, what were their dreams about India? To have a free country where people will live freely, will live peacefully, and there is no kind of cruelty on them. Okay, so these were the ideals and these were the ideas and these were the dreams of the people who used to live in British India, right? Then it's your duty to cherish, to preserve it, to remember it. Remember those ideas, those freedom struggle which they did, those sacrifices which they did. Okay, our freedom fighters who sacrificed their life for us. So we should always remember them. This is what is written. To uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity, and integrity of India. Okay, so always try to keep India independent, always try to keep India united. Okay, to defend the country and render national service when called upon. Okay, which means that you should all, as a citizen of India, it is your duty to always keep India independent. Always try to defend your country. Okay, and if there is war or anything which takes place and India needs you, your nation needs you to protect your country, so it should be your duty to render your services, to give your services to your nation, to promote harmony and the spirit of common brotherhood amongst all the people of India beyond religious, linguistic, and regional or sectional diversity, and to respect the dignity of women. Okay, so always maintain the spirit of brotherhood. We should always feel that all Indians are my brothers and sisters. We should always keep that in mind, always keep that spirit of brotherhood amongst all the people in India, and we should not discriminate in in which religion they come from, what language they speak, what section of society they come from, what culture they follow, and all those things, so that we should not discriminate ourselves in these things, and we should always maintain that spirit of common brotherhood, and we should always respect women, respect the dignity of women, to value and preserve the rich heritage of the country's composite culture, which means the historical monuments, the culture, and all those things which are there, which speaks about the history of India. It should be preserved, it should be protected always, because that is our pride, that is India's pride. Those monuments, those culture, those sculptures, and all those things, those are India's pride, and it should always be preserved, it should always be protected. To protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, and wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures. Okay, so we should always try to protect our natural environment, our environment also, and also improve our environment. Okay, and we should always try to love our animals and wild animals and all. Okay, so these things are written in this point. To develop scientific temper, humanism, and the spirit of inquiry and reform. Okay, so we should always try to develop ourselves for the nation's for not only for individual and also but also for nation's benefits. Okay, with the new technology and all that coming on, we should always develop ourselves. Okay, to safeguard public property and to avoid violence. Okay, we should always try to say to protect our public property which the government is providing for us for our betterment. We should always try to protect it. Okay, and to avoid violence. Okay, there shouldn't be any violence, any fight in regards to religion, race, and all those things. We should not be doing all these things, and we should always maintain the brotherhood in the nation. To strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activities, so that the nation constantly rises to higher levels of endeavor and achievement. This thing talks about that as an individual, as a citizen of India, you should develop yourself, and when everyone develops themselves, then it becomes like the country is started to develop, right? When everyone they develop themselves individually, then the country is also constantly rising to new levels. So this is what is written, you should develop yourself, so that then it becomes a collective responsibility of all the citizens to develop the country automatically, and the country reaches new higher levels. Okay, to provide opportunities for education to his child or ward between the age of 6 and 14 years. This duty was added in the 86th Constitutional Amendment Act of 2002. This means that every parent, every guardian should provide their child education, okay, from the age of 6 to 46 and to 6 to 14 years, okay. So it should be a duty of every parent, every guardian to provide education to their child. Features of the fundamental duties. Now we will talk about the features of the fundamental duties. Following points can be noted with regard to the characteristics of the fundamental duties. Some of them are moral duties while others are civic duties. For instance, cherishing noble idols of national struggle is a moral duty, and respecting the constitution, national flag, and national anthem is a civic duty. So to remember them who have sacrificed our life, to always try to praise them, okay, who have sacrificed their life for us, for our independence, we should always try to respect them. So that becomes a moral duty. And respecting the constitution, our national flag, our national anthem, these things become our civic duties. They refer to such values which have been a part of the Indian tradition, mythology, religions, and practices. In other words, they essentially contain just a codification of tasks integral in the Indian way of life. So respecting women, and always keep that spirit of brotherhood, okay, amongst all the people, and all these things were already there in the very existence of the Indian culture, okay. So our fundamental duties have just mentioned it, but it is but these things are always there, were always there in the Indian culture. So our fundamental duties have just mentioned these things. So that is what is written. Unlike some of the fundamental rights which extend to all persons, whether citizens or foreigners, the fundamental duties are confined to citizens only and not extend to the foreigners. Okay, so the fundamental rights which extend to both the citizens and foreigners. Okay, but our fundamental duties, it is only for the citizens and not for the foreigners. Like the directive principles, the fundamental duties are also non-justiciable. Okay, so like the directive principles, even the fundamental duties are non-justiciable. The constitution does not provide for any direct enforcement by the courts. Okay, which means if you violate any of the fundamental duties, you won't be taken to court. Okay, but as a citizen of India, okay, even you have some responsibility, even you have some duty towards the nation. So even you have these things, right? You have some responsibility, you have some duties towards the nation. So you should always try to maintain that, and you should always try to follow that as a responsible citizen of India. Significance of the fundamental duties. The fundamental duties makes the citizen aware that even though they have fundamental rights to enjoy it, they should also be aware of the duties which they owe to their country. Okay, yes, you have been given fundamental rights and you can enjoy those fundamental rights, but even you have some responsibility as a citizen of India towards your nation, and you should always remember that. They serve as a warning against the anti-national and anti-social social activities like burning the national flag, destroying the public property, and so on. Okay, so this is a sense of warning. This is a warning for those people who are anti-national. Okay, who try to discriminate between religion, between caste, and all those things, who burn our national flag, destroy the property, the public property. So this is a warning for them. The fundamental duties always try to maintain discipline in the nation. So the fundamental duties, they always try to maintain discipline in the nation. Every citizen should actively participate towards national interest. So it is the responsibility of every citizen should always try to make our India better. Okay, they should have this sense of responsibility in them, that they should always try to make our India better in all spheres of life, in all sections. Okay, in all sections of development, in all the citizens of India, they should actively take part in these things. Okay guys, so this is the end of the ninth chapter on fundamental duties. Okay, I hope you liked the lesson. So thank you, bye bye.